This show is for entertainment purposes only. Do not mistake this show for medical advice. If you or anyone you know is in need of a dentist, please contact 480-391-0099 to set up an appointment.
Welcome to our podcast. Sit back and relax. Dental Works Podcast. We're gonna share some facts. We gonna raise your dental IQ at the Dental Works Podcast. We will guide you. Put out some bad jokes before we are through. Free information here just for you. Sit back and have a good time.
Today is February 3rd, 2023, and this is episode number 109.
What?
Of the Dental Works Podcast, the show about learning the ins and outs of dentistry from a patient's perspective. I'm Ted Work, and that over there is Dr. Terry Work.
Hello, Ted.
Dental Works is a family dental practice based in Scottsdale, Arizona that has been providing cosmetic and surgical dentistry for over 27 and a half years. Terry, how you doing?
Show me your leadership capabilities. We were doing a thing before.
Yeah.
Funny. What's the guy's name?
Bill Hader?
Bill Hader doing Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is really funny.
I know. We've talked about it at least 8 times.
I don't
on this
care.
Show
We're
about Bill
talking
Hader.
about it again. When you run the podcast, you talk about what you want to hear. Show me your leadership capabilities.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're talking about all the interesting stuff. We last episode we did our recap of 2022. There's a little bit of changes happening to the show, and one of those changes is this new format of episode that we're going to be doing. Today is going to be the very first of this new format. And I turned into Churchill.
Tell me about the format.
Well, this format will.
What are you,
I've been listening
was that
to
Kennedy?
No, that was
guy?
Churchill. I
Clam
was listening
chowder. Clam chowder. Give me
This
some-
format will fight the Japanese.
I apologize. I've been listening to hardcore history. It's getting really into my
God.
If you know Dan Carlin, he always whenever he like reads a quote, he's like screaming into the microphone. Anyway,
I don't know Dan, but
you
okay.
do not. But we're going to be doing this new version of episode, which is revisited. I'm going to add echo probably in post to that. Revisited. Okay. So we're going to be going way back in the time machine, not the actual time machine.
Okay, we
The
got to
fake
do a
time
tape.
machine.
We got to do a time machine.
We can do a time
episode.
machine. You let me know what time we could. I wanted to do one where we visit. You know how you were a British guy in the 1800s?
Yes.
I wanted us to go to London
Yeah.
as those two characters. That'd be
Okay.
fun. Anyway,
Sure.
we're revisiting the very first episode of the podcast, and I had this idea because I noticed that it is our most downloaded episode. I don't know if you knew this. People download the first episode for some reason, and that is the most downloaded episode. So more people have heard that episode than
That's
any other
interesting
episode.
because I listened to it again and it was horrifying.
Yeah, so we listened to it today. It's only 20 minutes. It's rough. It is
Well,
definitely.
I don't know. Maybe it was our best work and we went downhill. Maybe we
No,
might
we've
have peaked on the first one.
I
but
think we've
that would be
definitely
sad.
gotten a little better at this. So we would suggest if you're listening to this right now, please stop the show, but leave the window open so you can watch it when you come back to this and go listen to the first episode. Okay, we'll wait for you.
And we're back.
And we're back. So thanks for going to listen to that. And, it's so funny because I told him, I'm like, hey, listen to this episode and we'll talk about it on the episode. And like 20 minutes later, you called me and you're like, whoa,
That was bad.
rough. we were bad at this. And
Right.
it's very evident. Like we have it seems like there's so much fear of like talking over each other.
Well, what's important that we learned is that it's more entertaining if you interrupt people constantly.
Well,
on that one, we were being overly courteous, which we are not known for.
There's a rhythm.
And-
we get into a rhythm on the
Right.
show for sure, and we
And
hadn't
there was
figured out-
no rhythm.
There was so much dead air, and like we're
It was
like,
tough.
yeah. But
Well, thank you, Terry. So
All
our
right,
next
well,
thing
we're
was bad.
all right, now next part of the episode. Yeah, go listen to that. I have a little bit of notes. I'd love to talk about it. That episode came out, as we said last episode, March 10th, 2020. I know it feels like 1,000
In the
generations
bowels
ago.
of COVID.
I know it's
I think
yeah.
the reason it sounded that way is we were each wearing 13 masks,
Oh no, for sure.
and there was no video,
There was
so you couldn't see.
the sound had to propagate through it, and so there was extra delay for sure. No, it was. I thought there was some things audio quality wise that were rough.
Well, you as the audio tech, you always hear stuff. And so I'm going to say most people wouldn't notice
It's
as
hard.
much the audio. But when you're the one sitting there in the booth listening
it's all I've been doing for the last
and
2.5 years.
And you're a musician and you've done a lot of sound for people. And so
I've really trained myself to find those background noises and try to mask them and remove them as much as possible.
Yeah.
And it's just blaring on that episode.
it just sounds like, I don't even know. I started listening to it and I go, I don't know what it is about it. It sounded so, I don't know, sterile or just was
Stifled.
It was weird.
We hadn't figured out our characters yet. I think we hadn't figured out
Well, we both sounded kind of nervous.
Well, no, for sure.
And then you realize after about 30 or 40 podcasts, who gives a shit? Just so you know. And like you said, I think the best part about it was a rhythm. There's a rhythm about how things kind of, not that these are any more entertaining to anyone else but us.
No, for sure.
But we are more entertaining.
But
And really,
that's the thing is
what
I think our first few episodes, we were trying to make it entertaining, and it's why even try?
Trying too hard.
That's
Yeah. It's like the guy asking the girl out on a date and he's just trying way too hard and it's getting worse and worse. So.
We talked about last episode about some new shows that I've been watching. I watched the first season of White Lotus, which is, I know you haven't.
I don't have
seen
that
it.
streaming stuff, and
But
so I can't.
It's on
get-
HBO, and
Okay.
there's also another show that just came out. You may have heard of it. It's called The Last of Us. You may have heard that somewhere. The same guy from the first season of White Lotus is in The Last of Us, and
Wait,
something
White
just happened.
Lotus. White Lotus has somebody famous in it. Oh, we're probably going to talk about that on. Who is it? Who's
Watch
in
that
what?
show and
Oh,
then-
it's got the lady with the big lips.
Yes.
Yes.
I
She
don't
was
remember her name off
just
the top of my
on. She won an award for
Golden Globe, I think,
for White Lotus
for it.
Oh,
for the second season,
okay.
because she's in the second.
And she
season.
was just on a movie we watched called Shotgun Wedding.
Oh yeah.
With J-Lo.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. Shotgun Wedding. It's pretty good.
She deserves to get something for all the work that she's done, because it's very. Just
Did you see
comedy gold.
Did you see The Whale?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I would highly recommend.
I've heard it's
that.
great. I've heard it's really good. Brendan Fraser's great. I love the
really
Mummy. We got to get
good.
more Mummy movies. I also want.
I think his mummy days. I think his mummy days are over.
Check this out. Check this out. Fat Mummy. I'm sorry. No, I'm so sorry. No.
I thought you forgot what you were going to say. That was good. That was a perfect amount of time because I had just lost interest.
I know. Anyway, no, I want another Mummy movie, and I would love to have Brendan Fraser in it, but I also want another National Treasure movie, but this time they go to space, baby. We need a space
National Treasure. I love movies like that. And I just watched one last night called The Vault. And
Yeah.
it's about, and it's interesting because it's filmed in Madrid. And your mom and I actually went to Madrid, right in the area where they were next to this place called the Prado. Anyway, it has to do with some bank vault that was made like 100 years ago. And it was based on a scale. And like if more weight goes in the vault, then the thing fills with water. Anyway, it's kind of National Treasure kind of.
It's like a diamond thing.
No,
right?
no, no. It's they're trying.
Where
to,
was it at? Sorry.
It was in
Madrid.
Spain. Madrid, Spain. Yeah.
I remember listening to a thing where they talked about it. Was there a thing where one of the guys was just really big and he just held it up?
No. Oh, different movie.
okay.
This is about
This is a real thing I saw. It was like a diamond heist or something. And it was a similar thing like that where one of the guys literally, he was just so big, he just lifted it up and held it up for the other guys. Anyway.
No, but this is anyway, it's a pretty good movie.
That's
but
pretty cool.
Any of those movies where it's kind of like a
heist movie. You got to watch Kaleidoscope, man. That one's one where it's like out of time.
I can't get into it, but I'll watch it.
You got to watch it. It's pretty fun. Okay, here we go. Dental Fears Revisited.
Yes.
I want to kind of run down this episode because it's kind of not a lot happens. We kind of like
no.
First of all,
it's like we talk around everything and we never actually talk about what we do to help people with dental fears.
There were a few things that I thought were kind of funny as we were going through it. So we had first of all, incredible theme song. Theme music was on point. Terry whipping it out just right onto his
solo
iPad, killing it.
Well, that was the one. That was the very first rendition where we just recorded it off the iPad.
We're going to be going through these a little bit, and so we'll kind of go through the evolution of the theme. But yeah, that, I mean, you know what? It works. It was clean guitar.
Well, I think part of the thing was we were hesitant to say too much because we were holding back information for future podcasts.
Sure.
That was the sense I got. And a couple of times I made well, that's for a separate podcast. Well, we ended up not really talking about anything that had to do.
I know.
But it's still the single biggest problem, I think, is the fear of the dentist. Every once in a while, I'll get a person that says, oh, I love going to the dentist. Man, but not very often.
Yeah.
And those are the big cases where people will have some kind of health issue. Their teeth get jacked up, and then they don't want to know how bad it is until it's so bad that they've just got like one tooth on the top,
it's kind of like I just recorded a podcast for an accounting company. Anyway, Numbers Matter podcast. Go ahead and listen to it. But one of the episodes, it hasn't come out yet, so don't listen to this episode, but it's about the fear of filing late for your taxes and like what happens when you file late and like you're a few years behind. They were talking about how like people just don't file if they're too many years behind. And it's not like you're not, there's a way to like reconcile those things. It's not like you're gonna necessarily get in trouble. It's just like well, there's this idea out there that says, oh yeah, federal taxes are not mandatory. They're sovereign citizens and stuff.
And so I worked with a guy at the plywood mill. He had not filed a tax return in 9 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that worked out for him because I eventually left the plywood mill and was going to school. But he said, no, it's optional or, to file.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand how to read.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay taxes.
Right. And so the IRS.
The words mean different things to me.
Pretty serious because I've been audited.
Sure. Yeah.
I've been audited. And I would rather be shot out of a cannon into a mountain of manure than go through that again.
Yeah, it's not great. Sure. Anyway, but it's that kind of that idea that like you can always, there's always something you can do to improve what you got. Like you can always come in and make it better and not have it get worse. That's kind of the idea.
Well, I mean, it boils down to facing your fears.
Sure.
I mean, I can't.
Which is really hard to do, for sure.
An accountant, if you come into my practice, I can IV sedate you and put you to sleep. They don't do that in a lot of accounting offices that I've heard. Yeah, which would be awesome.
Here, we're going to talk about your taxes. Take a
go ahead.
Before we
go ahead and grab a bottle of vodka. And there's sodas over there, and we're going to drink while we do your taxes. That's actually a great idea.
Would you think this is a business expense?
That's a great idea.
Shots. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna keep going on the episode. We had our amazing self-recorded theme song, which that is just barely not as good as Neil's version of it. in my opinion. We did this thing which I thought was really cool. We don't do this as much. We had a follow along on the episode. We had something we could do with our audience. You remember what this was? We counted our teeth. Didn't we? Remember we counted our teeth?
We did.
And I remember we talked about specifically that if we got any international listeners, we would develop and explain the international tooth counting system, which we did not get to in our very first episode. So why don't you take it away?
Well,
Let us know.
There's actually a number, like, so, you know, typically someone's like, okay, we're going to take out tooth number 32, which would be lower right wisdom tooth.
Right.
Sometimes I'll be at a dental meeting somewhere else in the world, and they'll say, "Oh, I was working on tooth number 46." You know, and the way they do it is they do it by quadrants. So the upper right is quadrant 1.
So that's like 11, 12,
So 11, 12, 13, 14 as you count back from the front. And this is 21, 22, 23. And this is 31, 32, or 30.
I think it's 31.
31, 32, yeah.
This is the 0th
31,
teeth.
30th. And so that would be
Sure.
number 47 or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when we're listening to lectures, you have to, and in orthodontics, it's upper right.
They say ortho
one.
before every number.
Yes.
Ortho 1, ortho 2. This
It becomes
totally
quite cumbersome.
different.
Anyway, so yeah, when you're listening to these lectures, you have to be like, I mean, it's obvious.
Well, it's
They're
not always
showing
obvious, I
something.
guess.
Well, to me, it's obvious because they're showing a tooth. And then I'm saying, oh, that's tooth number 12. And they say, we're looking at tooth number 23. What would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4. Tooth number 24. Oh, obviously they're using the international.
Okay,
anyway,
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad we kind of got through that. We also talked about on our first episode the way that you count children's teeth.
Yeah.
Baby teeth.
Deciduous teeth.
They're
Right.
lettered.
Well, and I thought about this when it was posting because it gets confusing, because if you look in a child's mouth and that child is over the age of 6, it's very possible they'll have in their 6-year molars.
Yeah.
So the very first tooth in their mouth would actually be tooth number 3.
Okay.
And then right in front of that would be tooth number A.
Right.
And then B, C, D, all the way around to the other side, and you would get to whatever.
Tooth number A. Tooth letter A.
Tooth letter,
Sure.
whatever. On the upper left, it would go from a letter, K, I think, to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J would be the upper second molar of baby teeth. Then behind that would be tooth number 14. So they call that mixed dentition, where a person, but you're counting along their teeth. It's like, 3, A, B, C, D, and then you get to the front and they're missing E and F, and those are now 8 and 9, or they're missing the lower centrals. So so
That's
it gets really confusing counting teeth. So.
Oh, I bet. We had a segment called Terry's Tales.
That was rough.
That kind of was rough.
Well, it was
like,
he
was there no tail, or what's going on here?
Tell me a funny story. I'm like,
You got any stories from?
We didn't talk about this.
Do you have a Terry's tale that you can whip out right here?
Well, you did it again. You didn't tell me.
It's a revisited, bud. We're trying to do this again. We're trying to make a better version of the episode. You got any Terry's tales? Also, I noticed, to give you some time on your Terry's tale.
Thanks.
I noticed that for whatever reason, the intros were like 10,000 times way louder than the rest of the show. It'd be like, Terry's tales. It'd be like, scare me.
Well, that was what it was. That was another thing I noticed. Your voice was very unnatural.
Terry's tales.
You were talking like you were being recorded.
Yes, well, so Terry.
I hate the sound of my
know.
voice, so I'm going to change the sound of my voice so I don't hate it as much.
Yeah, definitely hadn't come into the voice, and I was afraid it was going to be too loud, and it was. And you know what? That's part of the show. So
He's gotten better at editing. So
that's why levelers
you
exist.
can take it down. Yeah. Now, when you say Terry Tales, is it about the dental practice, or about being a dentist in dental school, or what?
Anything really dental related, that is a story from you. Is pretty much all it is. It's a tale from Terry. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. No, I mean, if you don't have one, that's okay. It's on brand for sure because it's what happened in the first episode.
Got you.
But that's okay.
Yes.
Do you have any tales? Do you want to tell us about the first episode? That could be your Terry's tale.
I remember the first episode of our podcast. Actually, no, dental stories are, I mean, I've got a bunch of them that I can't tell because they are not for this crowd.
Sure.
But again, since the episode is about dental fears, these are not necessarily tales, but just about people we've met who have had such extreme dental fear that we've had to do things. We've had people that they're so nervous. We took the x-ray and then they went out and sat in the courtyard and waited for us to develop. This was back before it was digital. Now you take an x-ray, it's right there. We used to have to dip it in like liquid, and it was like this
how long
toxic
was this process? Like
chemicals. It took about 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay. It's funny
we had a thing called an Ep109, and you go in this room and you shut the door and you turn the light off and it's dark and you stick them in there and it runs through and it takes 5 minutes or whatever. Then they come out the top and they're all dry and then you hold them up. You're like, nope, didn't get it. Sit down again. so now you just like click, nope, adjust. Click.
It's funny. It's funny because that dark room is now your network room. It's where all the the modem and all that shit is.
That's where we actually do our PRF, platelet-rich fibrinogen.
Right, yeah.
We have the centrifuge, and we do all our processes when we draw blood to do surgeries.
But that is funny because this office was around when that was happening, and like you still have those archaic rooms.
Dude, I remember the AT2000 was there and you'd walk into that room and it smelled like cancer. I mean, the chemicals were so bad was, and then there'd be like a little leak and like this one toxic stuff would like eat the countertop. I'm like, oh man, this doesn't seem safe.
Oh man, do we have gloves?
Yeah, you're like in there, you've got like welding gloves. Yeah, and so I mean, things have gotten so much more safe. But I mean, that was just the way it was, man.
Yeah.
You quick dip those things. And so again, I guess my Terry's tale is just the technological improvements. Nowadays, a person comes in, we put him in this digital machine. It gives me a 3-dimensional picture of their whole skull.
Yeah.
You know, again, what would that look like with the AT2000? All right, we've got to develop these, then we got to glue them together.
Yeah, no, I have to. We have to take 300 successive, slightly and then we have to offset.
Then we glue them together, and this is your skull. Come back in 7 months. And we'll look at what's wrong.
Like recreating the Titanic.
Well, you have a tumor, but it's gotten much worse because it took us so long to. Yeah, so. You know, the Terry's tales would be the technological advance. We still have charts on everybody because it kind of follows them around, but everything's digital and it's in their in the charts in the computer.
Yeah.
And so, but we just can't go paperless because having that chart that you're kind of holding while you're talking to the person, there's something about that.
It's hard to, I mean, I imagine that if you had never had paper charts, it would be much easier.
I mean,
you wouldn't care
because
you wouldn't
just
have
like
them.
You're just like,
what the hell is this paper? I don't need paper. I have an iPad. What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, give me the iPad. We're very high tech. Oh, the battery's dead.
Oh no!
Give me the paper chart. Yeah,
that's fair.
Everything sounds good on paper. See what I did there? Ideas look great until you realize, oh, there's an inherent flaw in
for sure.
Whatever. But yeah. But we have, like, people check in now and they fill out all their medical history and everything on an iPad. This is
that's funny.
In case you're wondering, that's
so
iPad.
funny you say that because I recently went to jury duty on Monday of this week, and all of it is streamlined. Like, they know what they are doing now. It's before it was probably you had to fill out like a big thing of papers and they would send them in and then everybody would like go through them and check them. Now it's just all on your phone. It's a QR code you scan, and then you go through, and there's no paper wasted. There's no they instantly know all your answers, and
That's nice.
can like filter and be like, all right, you guys leave because you said you hated
Whatever.
people. What the hell? You're like anti.
Everybody is guilty.
Yeah, no, but it's just crazy, like the speed and the. I mean, yeah, it's a crazy tool. It was very interesting. I'd never been to jury duty before, and my back started hurting, so I got to leave. It was great.
Yes, any excuse will work.
Anyway, we're gonna go. There's one thing I wanted to talk. There's two things I wanted to say about this episode before we're done today. I said the word titular, and you were confused by that.
Now,
Do you know what this word is?
I've heard it many times from you since then.
Yeah, I
In
wanted
the
to make
three
sure
res-
that when we did this revisited, you were aware of this
It's
word.
really anytime you say any word with tit in it, I'm going to giggle.
It definitely catches you off guard
Titular.
if you're not ready for it. Anyway, last thing was the episode ends with a wicked guitar solo. I don't know if you heard that. Hell yeah, oh man,
I can't believe you left that in. Yeah, I was laughing about that because I called you before I listened to the end of the episode, and then after,
I thought that was.
I was
pretty
like,
funny.
did Eddie Van Halen come back from the dead?
I don't think he was dead by then. I think we might have gotten Eddie Van Halen for that. I thought that was pretty funny. That's one of my favorite things is to leave. Like, if you'll notice, one of my favorite things that other shows do is they'll have like outtakes and they'll put it after the credits, and
Right.
so there'll be like a little. So sometimes
Just to see who's really paying
Sometimes
attention.
the best part of the episode is after the credits, so listen through to that. All right, well, we're gonna do this thing.
That was
I wanted
funny.
to do as a conclusion. I wanted to say that we sometimes have to see where we've been to know where we're going next. So this was fun, and I'm really excited to get and review some of the older episodes and kind of see.
It's
the
not that we're
evolution of all
running
this
out of
stuff.
material. There's infinite number of teeth we can evaluate. But like you said, you always have to go back.
You know what? Sometimes it's fun to do that, and I think it was apt after the yearly review
God
to do an
dang.
entire show review, first episode. But before we're done today, we're going to do a Celebrity Smiles revisited. So we're going to do this. It's going to be pretty rapid because we don't have all that much time, but these are the first 3 people that we ever did on Celebrity Smiles. It's not on the first episode.
No.
It's on the 3rd episode. But here we go. We're going to do this just to get through them. So first person is going to be one Pierce Brosnan.
Well, and and I'm sure I said this on the episode, but super handsome guy, nasty teeth.
Yeah. He's still British.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how handsome you are, you're still British. And I think that's the thing. That's truly the through line of this whole podcast. We don't have a whole lot of time.
I know,
wanna
clearly.
rattle through these, but yeah, James Bond, Pierce Brosnan. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and he's a 7.
7. All right. Next person is going to be one Sir Tom Hanks.
Oh God.
He's not a knight. He should be a knight, though. Have they not knighted Tom Hanks? Can we have American knights? I feel like, is that a thing?
Tom Hanks teeth.
Like Knight Rider?
So, I mean,
Like Stephen Knight. He was a knight,
like
right?
the teeth on Castaway, not great. He doesn't have great teeth.
Oh, no. Tom Hanks, no.
Yeah, he's just got a weird smile.
There's a
He's got that
snake in his boat. Did you know that his brother does his voice for some stuff?
Yes.
Just because Tom Hanks is too busy?
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, what are we giving Tom Hanks?
7.
7. All right, this last person is somebody that we clown on super hard.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is going to be this person. So let's give the person. This is the person that really gave us the idea to do this segment, and it's been chugging along ever since. Old Center Tooth himself.
Center Tooth and
Is there you know how Cyclops? Is there like cyclodent? Is there like a dent clops? Is that a thing? Like one tooth guy, like center tooth. Is there a word for that? We gotta make a word for that. I feel like Cyclops, but for teeth. Is what I'm trying to get. You know what I mean? Like dent clops or something. I don't know. The ops is eye. So what would be? Would it?
I don't know, but for some reason I can't frickin' expand.
Anyway, you know what his teeth look like.
But he's got a great smile.
Center
And
tooth.
This is a perfect example of saying if the midline's off, you don't really notice it that much. And most people, you're not taking a picture from straight on. So his smile
from the
is
from the side, you wouldn't even be able to tell.
His smile's an 8.
All right, we
Just
got
'cause I
an
like
8
him.
for Tom Cruise. And with that, we're going to say thank you for listening to the Dental Works podcast. If you'd like to support the show, please give us a rating on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. If you'd like to get in contact with the show or you have questions, please send an email to dentalworkspodcast@gmail.com. We may talk about your question on the show. If you're located in the Phoenix area and you need dental work, please give us a call at 480-391-0099. Terry, thank you for being with me today.
Thanks for supporting the show, people out there. And how come when I touch the microphone, you get all mad and you're like hanging on it like a frickin' dance partner?
It's because I'm not bending it.
Okay,
I'm
you're doing it right.
leaning it.
You're doing it correctly.
And also, when I touch it, you can't hear it.
I heard it.
No, you did. You didn't hear anything. Okay. All right. Now you're trying to do it. Thanks for being with me, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
This podcast was produced by T-Door Productions. Theme song written and recorded by Neil Hathaway. Vocals by Terry Work. Sound effects provided by freesfx.com and zapsplat.com. I do enough ASMR. The ASMR.
We got to find out what the hell ASM. I'm going to look it up right now.
It's like auto something response.
Let's not guess.
No, I know. I wasn't saying. I didn't think it was something. I was just.
What does ASMR stand for? Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
Yeah.
That makes less sense than
ASMR. Just
than
knowing
literally anything I could think of. It's a relaxing it says it's a relaxing, often sedative sensation that begins on the scalp and moves down the body.
It's like a tingling. Some people feel it and some people don't. And it's like a tingling sensation when people hear people whispering. Tingle. That's what people are saying is like it's like when someone whispers right up next to your ear. And that's why people think that people really liked Bob Ross is because it was giving them ASMR.
Tree. Let's put a little tree right here.
All right,
He's not doing anything.
Sorry, let me put the.
He's not about to molest anybody.
Okay, that's not fair.
Let me make sure the contact mic is on the painting so you can feel every brush stroke. Grab your little paint knife there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna. Okay.
We crack us up.
Today is February 3rd, 2023. Let me do that again, just in case we didn't catch that.